Hi, I am Chococorneco's TTS PET. Today she will show you how to make me. Example files are down below for following along with.
So the first part is drawing the model. You can use Clip Studio Paint, Photoshop, Procreate, any art program, as long as you can have separate layers and that you can export it as a Photoshop document or a PSD, because Live2D only reads PSDs. So we're just going to keep the model really simple. I've already drawn mine here, but I'll put a little speed version of when I was actually working on it. I just used a round hard brush to make really basic shapes. I didn't bother with line art. If you want, you can do line art, you can do lots of stuff, but right now we're keeping it really simple. So just one color. The only parts we're actually going to be animating in Live2D are the face and the ears, so we need to just make sure those are separate. So here, this is how I've laid mine out in the end. We have the body, which is just one piece. I have his head, which is another piece. We have, let me show you, the whiskers. They're separate. They're on the same layer, that's fine, because they're not going to be moving too much. The eyes on the same layer is fine for this one. And the ears. Now with the ears, I've drawn these on the same layer, and you'll see me edit this in the actual video where I'm rigging, but this isn't ideal for what we want to do. So what you can do is you can just lasso one of the ears, and Control X will cut it, and Control V will paste it down, and now we will have two ears, which will make life a little easier later on. The most important part is the mouth. This is the part that's going to be actually moving and talking, so it needs to be drawn in more pieces. So we have, for the mouth, we have the top lip, which is the cat mouth. This won't be moving. This will just stay where it is, so that's fine. We have the bottom lip, which is here. I just drew this in a round shape because I find this easier to animate to begin with, but you can kind of draw it in a cat mouth shape as well. But sometimes when it's drawn in a cat mouth shape, it can be hard to deform in Live2D, so I like to draw it round. So we've got the bottom lip. We have the inner mouth. The way that I drew the inner mouth wasn't ideal. I think it'd be better to make an inner mouth shape that looked like this. And then if I remove these, it kind of fits the shape of the top lip because we're not actually moving the top lip. So this would be better. I don't do it that way. I should have. But we need an inner mouth color. If you want as well, this is where my mascot doesn't have it. But if you wanted a tongue, you could draw a tongue in here like this. And you would just clip it to the inner mouth like that. But my mascot doesn't have a tongue, and we're keeping it simple. And then the last part of the mouth we're using is the lower lip skin. This goes above the bottom lip and above the inner mouth, but underneath the top lip. So that's just going to help us, if we've got any parts that are sticking out a bit funny, we can just use that to cover them up. But yeah, that's pretty much all we need. So we just need to make sure they're all named. So we have body, top lip, lower lip, bottom lip, inner mouth, the eyes, and we just name them eyes, whiskers, head. You can just do ear 1 and ear 2, or you can do ear 1 and ear R. Doesn't really matter. This is so simple that it won't really make a difference. And yeah, there we go. So what we want to do is we want to save this as a Photoshop document. Make sure it's not a big Photoshop document, just a plain Photoshop document. If you're using Procreate, I know you export it as a Photoshop document. Same thing. As long as you are getting a Photoshop file out of it that has got layers, we're all good. Anyway, so we're going to move over to Live2D and animate him. So here we are in Live2D. So what you want to do is you want to grab your PSD and just drag it into Live2D and create new model with PSD file. And now you'll have a brand new model. So if you're like me, you'll still have the paper on the back. Just delete that, click on it and delete. And then you can see it's got a transparent background. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to hold click up in the corner, drag and drop. So these are all selected. Go up here to auto mesh, go to preset and standard. And this will give it an automatic mesh. What we're going to do next is we're going to go to modeling, texture, and edit texture atlas. I'm going to make mine 2000 by 2000 because that's as big as mine was and I can fit it all in. But if you need to make it bigger, that's completely fine. If there's stuff that isn't already put on here, it'll be on the side here. What you do is you right click on that and place selected objects into texture atlas. And then just rotate it and move it around until, as long as it's not overlapping anything else. So that's perfect. And we're ready to start. So first of all, we're going to sort out our parameters. We don't need most of these for our very simple model. So we're going to delete the hair ones, the breath, the body ones, the cheek, Make sure you don't delete mouth form and mouth open. Delete brow, 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 brow. Delete eyeball X and Y. You can keep these if you're wanting your character to look around, but ours is really simple, so we're not doing that today. IR smile, IR open, IL smile. Keep IL open because this is the one we're going to do the blinking on. So make sure these are all selected and just delete them. And this makes it a little more simple. So we're going to start with the blink because it's the easiest. So for that, we're just going to grab the eyes. We're going to make a warp deformer up here and we're going to call it eyes blink. There we go. And make sure the warp deformer is selected, the green one down here, and go up to IL open and click on add two keyforms. Now this makes one for opening your eyes and one for closed. So what we're going to do is we're going to make sure we're on the left hand side and this will be the closed eyes. And what I like to do is I like to hold Alt on the keyboard and grab this top part of the red box and just pull that down. And it makes like a good little blink for a basic eye. So there we have the blink. Nice and easy. So what we're going to do next is we're going to do the mouth. So we're just going to grab the top lip. I'm just going to hide the inner mouth for a minute. You hide by clicking on the eye here. I'm going to hide the inner mouth. And we're just going to work with these bits. So first of all, we'll grab the top lip and the bottom lip and we'll go to mouth open and we'll add two keyforms. And this time on the right is where we want to edit it. So make sure on the right hand side, grab the bottom one. And up here is a deformer tool that you put points on. So we're going to put a few points on here. And then we're going to make sure we're on the right and we're going to pull this all the way to where we want the mouth to open to. And then I like to grab the edges and line them up. And then you pretty much have a nice open mouth. And now what we're going to do is we're going to make sure this goes up into the point when it's closed. So make sure you're on the left hand side here. And then we're going to go up into there. This isn't going in. So we're going to grab the deformer brush. This might be massive, mine is. If it is, just hold B on the keyboard and click and drag. And it'll make it smaller. So make it smaller, make it smaller. And we're just going to push this upwards. So it's hidden. And now we have an open and closing mouth. So what you want to do is turn on the inner mouth now. Make sure that's selected. And go to mouth open and add two keyforms. And here we want to just kind of push it into place. So use this brush again that kind of pushes stuff around. And just push it so that it's underneath the mouth line. There we go. And then back here, I'm going to grab the whole thing and push it upwards and downwards just to make it a little quicker. But we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to push it in. This is not like optimal when you're doing an actual mouth on a model, but for a simple open and closed mouth, this is perfect. So just make sure it's hidden. There we go. So it opens and closes. You don't have to do the next part, but if you'd like to, you can. The mouth form is the shapes for like and E and all that. We're going to do this because it doesn't take too much time. You just want to select the top lip, the bottom lip, and the inner mouth and add 3 keyforms onto mouth form. And we're going to go to the left-hand side. Click on the top lip. Make sure the left-hand side one is highlighted. And we're going to give the top lip some of these deformers as well. And we're just going to make this into like a sad face. Oh, by the way, if you cannot click on the deformers after and you just keep pulling this around like this, make sure you have selected the arrow tool again. There we go. And we're going to do that. And we're just going to do the same with the bottom lip. Make sure you're on the left-hand side. And just kind of tuck it in. So he looks like he's got a little sad face. And then do the same thing, but with the inner mouth. Make sure you're on the side. And just push it in with the brush. There we go. So now he has a sad mouth. Here you can make a really happy mouth if you wanted to. I'm not going to bother because his mouth is quite happy already. But this is fine for me. So what we want to do now is select the top lip, the bottom lip, and the inner mouth. Go to mouth open, and we're going to click add 3 keyforms. And this adds a new keyform in the middle for us. Now you can see that this new keyform it's just made, the inner mouth is sticking out a little bit. So we're just going to select that and we're just going to clean it up. So push it in. There we go. I'm also going to bend this a little bit to make it more of a round shape, because I don't really like how it's sticking up. So there we go. So it's a little bit more round now. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to mouth form and click the link on the side here. This links the parameters together, and it should give us a pretty good looking mouth. Now you'll see some bits are still a little bit messy. So go to this is the inner mouth. Just go to the inner mouth and push them in. Just check all the keyforms. This one looks fine. This one's a bit messy. And I kind of want these ones to be bent down as well, so I'm just going to do the same thing. I'm going to just pull them down a little bit. There we are. And that looks pretty good. So that's the mouth done. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make the face move left and right. So we're going to select everything that is on the face. So this is the eyes. Select the eyes blink. Select the top lip, the bottom lip, the inner mouth, and the whiskers. Go up to warp deform, and we're going to call this one face. So here you will have all the face pieces. So what we want to do is we'll go to angle X, make sure you've selected the left hand side, and we're going to pull this a little bit to the left. We're going to rotate it, and I'm also going to squish down the left hand side so it looks a little bit like it's on a curved surface, you know? Kind of like it's sliding over there. Push it around a little bit. And when you're happy with that, make sure you've got the left hand side selected. Go up to these 3 lines up here and do reflect motion. Make sure it's reflect horizontally, and then we'll have the same motion on both sides. I'm just going to push these a little bit more to the side. But I'm pretty happy with that. That looks good. So for angle Y, we do the same thing. But instead, when we go down, we'll go down, and we're going to pull out the top end a little bit and push in the bottom side to make it look a little curved. Push it down a little further. And then on the right hand side, we're going to push it up and pull it in a little bit at the top. There we go. Now what we want to do is go to the 3 lines up here and go to extended interpolation, ellipse interpolation, and go to 2. And this will just make it like a little smoother. And we'll do the same for angle X. So up here, extended interpolation, ellipse interpolation, and 2. And then we go to angle X and click on this little link. And you'll see it looks a bit like it's hitting the edges. So we'll go to the 3 lines up here and synthesize corners. And there we go, nice and smooth. Now we just have to do the ears. So I like to do the ears separately. So I'm going to make warp deformers for each ear. Here's ear 1. And we're going to unlink these for a minute, go to angle X. And what I'm going to just do is bring it over. I'm going to rotate it, and I'm going to hold Alt and make it smaller. And I'm just going to make sure it links up like that. Same on the other side, make it bigger, rotate it, and push it forward a little bit. There we go. And we're just going to do exactly the same on the other side. Call this one ear 2. Angle X, bring it over, make it bigger, make it smaller, rotate it a little bit. So now we've kind of got like it looks like it's going left to right, and we'll do the same for angle Y, so up and down, but this time with down, just make it bigger, and with up, we'll make it smaller. And I'm going to rotate this one out a bit. And this one in a little bit. And do the same with the other ear. So go back to your ear 1, angle Y, bigger, rotate it, do whatever you want to do with it, and then smaller and rotate it out. And then we do the same thing we did with the face. We link these 2 together, go up to the 3 lines and synthesize corners. And now the head is turning, and we'll just do that for both ears. So that's ear 1, up here, synthesize corners. And that looks pretty cute. So the only other thing I'm going to add, and this is completely unnecessary, but I want to make it bounce a little when he talks. So I'm just going to select everything that I want to bounce. So we want to select ear 1, ear 2, and face. We're going to make a new warp deformer. We're going to call this one bounce. And we also want to make sure the head is in this one. So if you need to add something to a warp deformer, you can just click on it and drag it in. So now we have all of these pieces as the bounce. I'm just going to make this a little different. There we go. So we need to make new parameters. We're going to call this one bounce X. We're going to replicate the parameters by right-clicking. Right-click, edit parameter, and call this one bounce Y. So for bounce X, we're going to go out and in. So I'm going to do in on the left-hand side and out on the right-hand side, like this. And for bounce Y, we want to go up and down. So we're going to do down on the left-hand side and up on this side. Then we're going to do the same that we did before with angle X and angle Y. We're going to go here, click on the link, up to the 3 lines and synthesize corners. And now he's kind of got a bouncy look to him. So what we need to do now is go into the physics settings and link that to the mouth open. Okay, so here we are in the physics settings. So what we're going to do is we're going to add, I'm going to call this one bounce. The input is going to be mouth form and mouth open, and they're both going to be angle X. We're going to make mouth form 20% and mouth open 80%. We're going to add 2 pendulums. These are just going to be default pendulums. We're not even going to worry about that. And we're going to add bounce X and bounce Y. And now you'll see that when the mouth opens, there's a little bit of bounce. And it looks pretty cute. And that's all we need to do. We don't need to mess with the physics or anything. That's enough. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to go to File. We're going to go to Export for Runtime and export this as an MOC3 file. Once you've exported that, it will bring up the file manager and we'll be able to go to VTube Studio. Okay, so here we are in VTube Studio. What you want to do is go to the little character here and go to Import Your Own Model. This will bring up this prompt and you can open the folder from here, and all you have to do is take all your files from the Live2D folder and drag them into the VTube Studio folder. Once you've done that, it will show up along the bottom here. So mine is called T Croneco for test. And when it's loaded up, it might take a few minutes, so just keep checking. Once it's loaded up, you just click on that and you will pull them out. When you add your model in, it's going to ask if you want to auto set up. Do not do that. Just click cancel. We don't want any parameters. We're going to make them all from scratch. So the first thing we're going to do is make sure VTS P.O.G is connected. It should automatically try and connect to VTube Studio, but if it doesn't, you can go to VTube Studio down here and there should be a connection thing up here. So just make sure it's connected, because when it's connected, it gives us the stuff we need to make this work. So once your model's in, we're going to go to the settings and we're going to go to the parameters and we're going to add a new parameter like this. Here we are. Delete this one. And we're going to make this one the blink. So we're going to call it blink. Ignore input. We don't need an input, but we'll go to output and we'll make this one IL open, or whatever the parameter was that was your blinking parameter. I'm just going to move him over a little bit. There we go. And make sure this is auto blinking. So now he'll blink. So that's the first one done. The next one we're going to add is angle X. Input is angle X. This one will track your face. So make sure for this to work that your tracking is set up and ready to go. The output will be angle X. Make sure your face tracking is connected and then he will follow it. Now, if we want him to go the opposite way from where we're looking, so he doesn't look like he's matching our model, we just want to turn these 2 numbers around. So we'll make this one -30 and this one 30. And now he'll go the opposite way. And now we'll do the same thing, but for angle Y. And we'll call this one input is face angle Y. Output is angle Y. And do the same thing here, make this minus and make this one positive. Now he might be a little stiff and maybe not moving as much as you would like. All we need to do to fix that is lower the number. So let's try making this one -20. And as long as they match, it will all be okay. -20 and 20. And now it should be a bit more sensitive. So now here we're going to use the VTS P.O.G plugin. This one's going to be mouth open. The input for this one, if we type in VTS, it'll come up with all of the VTS P.O.G plugins. So we're looking for voice volume 2. So we'll make sure it's that one. Output will be mouth open. And then the next one will be mouth form. Input, if we type in VTS, they'll all come up again. We want to do voice frequency 2. And output will be mouth form. So now the model should work. So we're going to open up VTS P.O.G. And we're going to do the play text.
P.O.G Online Poggers.
Okay, so he works. but his mouth doesn't open very much. So we're just going to go back to mouth open in our VTube Studio parameters and change this to 0.5. This will make it a bit more sensitive. So we'll go back to VTS P.O.G and try again.
P.O.G online Poggers.
So that looks pretty good. So that's him pretty much done. He's blinking and he's moving. If you want to connect this to a channel point redeem, you go to the Twitch setting here, make sure it's connected, and these are the settings for your redeem. I'll link a few videos that explain this a bit better, but it's pretty simple and it's pretty easy to work out. So there we are. I hope that was helpful. I hope I explained it all well enough and that you guys can make your own cute little guy. I'm happy to answer any questions in the comments, and you can also find me on Choco Corneco pretty much anywhere, and I'm happy to help. But yeah, I hope this was good. Let me know if there's any other tutorials you want, because I would like to make some more this year. But yeah, okay, bye everyone.
Bye bye.